Hey folks, today is Friday, September 23rd, 2022. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. And it's a wild one. Breaking news, as of just before recording this video, the guy behind the GTA6 leaks has apparently been caught. So leading up to that, if you have been in the dark this week, Grand Theft Auto 6 prototype and early game footage has leaked thanks to a hacker that dumped a ton of it on the internet for people to just go through. From video of some rough gameplay to videos of weird prototyping stuff to source code, it's all out there and we can't show any of it. Not trying to get sued or get this video taken down, so I'm gonna show gameplay of the hit new viral game Trombone Champ. It has been a busy week with that. I mean, if you think about it, it is astounding. Grand Theft Auto 6 is probably one of the most anticipated pieces of media in all time, considering Grand Theft Auto 5 is one of the biggest profit-generating media things ever. It shattered records. So for something this big to leak is absolutely wild and historic. Say whatever about the damage it caused. I'm just looking at it from a textbook, from a textbook perspective, and this is wild. I'm really looking forward to eventually reading the book on how this all went down. Rockstar did respond and say, hey, this isn't how we wanted to show the game anytime soon, but yeah, it's a thing. And they also confirmed that it's not slowing down or changing their development at all. There was things floating around that the hacker was apparently a young person who possibly was the person who also hacked Uber just a few weeks back or so. And now, as of this morning, London police are confirming that they have arrested a 17-year-old in connection to the whole Grand Theft Auto 6 and Uber hacking thing. Now, of course, this is just this earlier report from Reuters and a few journalists and the London police confirming, but we don't know the full story yet, and I do really want to stress that. I also want to stress that if the hacker was really 17 years old, that means this kid was 7 or 8 years old when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. Is that not one of the most insane things you've heard today? Curious to see where this goes. We're definitely going to be following it closely. A lot of people are speculating that this kid is going to get a job with the FBI after his jail time, but depending on how he hacked it with possible social engineering stuff, I don't know. I'm just picturing the end of Catch Me If You Can here. But anyway, that's where we're currently at. Now, in other news, Nvidia just announced the newest series of RTX cards. Yep. We're getting the RTX 40 series. What do you want first? You want the good news or the bad news? Let's just start with the good news. There is some stunning stuff out there. Nvidia put out a really stunning new graphics demo showcasing just how powerful of a leap, once again, these new GPUs are, according to them. But we also got a look at Portal, the original Portal with RTX, as well as something called RTX Remakes, an Nvidia-created tool that will help modders more easily add RTX lighting to older games. The video they showed off specifically, it's they made it for me. They did they showed it with Morrowind, and it was very cool to see. A lot of modders have already mastered RTX, but for them to actually make it a little more user-friendly on the back end, I guess that's a win. Hopefully we see more cool stuff come from that. But really, some of the stuff they showed in those video presentations, those tech demos just of the graphics in general, very, very cool stuff. But now the bad news is everything else. The prices. Basically, it seems like the price increase from the last year or so is here to stay, and a lot of people are not happy about that. So basically, and I'll link a good article that breaks it down, but to paraphrase, the 480 and the 490 prices are basically continuing from when there was a chip shortage and cards were really expensive. So yeah, if you bought a new card last year or so, you're oh, that's not that bad, but in the bigger picture of things, there has been a very steady and substantial increase. I'm going to quote resident PC nerd here behind the scenes, Juan. He actually just texted me. He said, oh, be sure to mention that the 4080 12 gig is a rebranded 470 to hide the fact that they jacked up the price $400. That's where we're at. Every consumer is different, so I definitely want to hear from you guys in the comments. If you were in the market for this, if you were waiting for the 40 series to finally bite the bullet, are you going to now? Where are you at? Are you still rocking a 970? Where are you in this whole angle? Definitely let us know what you think about the really stunning visuals from the demo and the whole price thing. Next up in the news, Dunkey is publishing video games. Yes, the massive YouTuber has announced officially that he is starting an indie publishing label called Big Mode. He put out a video announcing it. It quickly went trending, and that's where we're at. We don't know what games they're putting out yet, but he put out a call to developers. Jake's opinion corner time. A lot of people were kind of rubbed the wrong way where he just kind of said, I play all the video games, so I know the good ones. I definitely think there's a lot more to it than that. And I think Dunkey knows too. I think that's just part of his video. I think him and Leah are very smart. They wouldn't be jumping into this in a naive way. I think it is potentially really exciting. Whether you love Dunkey's videos or you absolutely hate him, I don't think that matters. I'm actually a fan of his videos, but I don't think that really matters either way. I think what we have here is a passionate person dumping a bunch of money into game publishing where they aren't necessarily backed by a corporate board or anything with a massive incentive to always double profits every year at all costs. This is hopefully just another small group of people passionately putting out funding, supporting games. And if there's even like one cool game project that gets funded from this or $1 billion, I chalk that as a win. So from one longtime YouTuber to another, even though I'm a hack and he's really funny, I wish Dunkey and his team the best, seriously. Oh, and in other news, for me, thankfully, we got a Splinter Cell alert. Splinter Cell is in the news once again with more confirmation of this reboot, remake of the original first game that Ubisoft had announced. Now, we know when they announced that they were still kind of hiring and staffing up for the project, and a new job listing for a developer for the team has basically listed the direction of the game. Like, the job posting actually gave us like a description and gave us some news. It's kind of funny. Using the first Splinter Cell game as our foundation, we are rewriting and updating the story for a modern day audience. We want to keep the spirit and themes of the original game while exploring our characters and the world to make them more authentic and believable. It's also worth noting that they said they are preserving what's at heart of the Splinter Cell experience. Now, of course, the reactionary, like the knee-jerk reaction to hear they're updating it for a new modern audience, people think it's going to be, you know, cut short, neutered, whatever. I don't necessarily think that's the case because I've been playing these games from the beginning and I revisit them all the time, and the first Splinter Cell game just doesn't really have that much of a story. It's not that great, dude. So I don't think it's going to be too much about them like censoring themselves for the modern age or anything like that. I'm just hoping it goes from barely having a story to somewhat having a story. Again, I thought the stories of these games got much stronger by like Chaos Theory, but that's just me. It's still a weird choice to remake the first game out of any of them, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. That's my opinion, so definitely let me know yours. I'm sure you're gonna be heated. Now, some cool things linked in the description down below. The first is, although I definitely don't play, I actually stay far away from it for many reasons. FIFA 2023 got a cool announcement that Ted Lasso is in the game. Like, straight up. Actually, AFC Richmond from Ted Lasso is being added to the game with Ted Lasso as a coach, and all the characters are there. We see all of them. We see Danny Rojas. We see Roy Kent. I dig that show a lot, so I just thought this was kind of cool, and I wanted to share it. Also, along with that, the Spider-Man PS4 new PC version mods just keep coming. Tons of stuff, and the coolest thing that caught my eye this week are some Spider-Man first-person mods. I'm going to show off specifically the one from Jedi Josh. Now, please note that these are not perfect. These are working with seemingly the game's animations and the camera, so it's very limited, and there's not going to be a ton of like cool effects to it, but basically, this is something that can make me feel alive. I really love Spider-Man. If I could choose any superpowers, it would be the ability to swing through New York City on a rope, which is weird. Most people just want to fly, but I love this, and I can't wait to see where this does go. It's very nauseating when Spidey does the flips because it's linked to his animation. So, you know, that Spider-Man on screen is constantly twirling and spinning and doing the aerial tricks, so it's a lot. But it's also still very, very impressive what they've done here. If you want to watch the whole video, I linked it down in the description. And speaking of first person, really, PlayStation VR 2 got an update. We got like a cool, fancy new trailer for it. It is feeling like it's real now at this point. We also got the more low-key announcement that PlayStation VR games are not going to work on PlayStation VR 2, which I think is wild. I understand the technology change from PSVR to PSVR 2 is pretty big, from, you know, the way things are displayed to the control inputs. Yes, but I think PlayStation VR as a platform needs as many games as it can get, so I really hope they're able to port some of the bigger games over or something, because I know they're trying to get a lot of games for PlayStation VR 2, but it could really help to have that backlog. VR needs everything it really can at this point to succeed, and I think PlayStation VR The first one did fairly well, and that's going to be the one that's going to be the more accessible and mainstream, so give it everything you can. Maybe that's just me overreacting, but that's just currently where my head's at. Another thing this week, officially announced now, that Iron Man game, that rumored Iron Man game from EA is official, and it's from EA Motive, and they said that they are making a traditional, third-person action-adventure game with a new take on Iron Man. And I think that's pretty cool. Of course, the elephant in the room, yes, EA, not so great sometimes, but EA did also put out Fallen Order, so maybe they're starting to freaking learn. I don't know, dude. But Motive are the people behind the Battlefront 2 campaign, Star Wars Squadrons, cool. And also, they're now working on the Dead Space remake, which we'll be able to see soon. I just like comic books, so more superhero stuff, the better. New interpretations that go beyond like the whole MCU thing, I think is a win. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. Last but not least, just a shout out to the Cyberpunk Edge Runners show on Netflix, the anime. It's actually really, really good. It also actually was seemingly popular enough to bring Cyberpunk 2077 back to really high player counts and the top of Steam. I was skeptical because of CD Projekt Red and all that, but the show is really cool. So a little scoop here. If you're watching this on Friday, over this weekend on SkillUp's YouTube channel and on podcast services, my new podcast, FPS podcast, Friends Per Second, is going live with an interview with the showrunner behind the show. And it's very interesting to hear how this thing got made. Just look up Friends Per Second on YouTube or on podcast services. I'll link it in the description down below when it is live. But that's enough of me yapping today. That's the news. That's the stuff we're thinking about this week in the world of gaming. Thank you for coming around and getting caught up with us. I definitely want to know what you think about everything from the Splinter Cell remake, reboot thing to, of course, the Grand Theft Auto hacker scandal. What a crazy saga. To PlayStation VR 2, to everything announced this week. Let's just talk. I want to hear from you guys. But also, of course, let us know what you're playing. In that pinned top comment for our video research purposes, drop what you're playing. We really appreciate it. But we also appreciate when you click that damn like button. Thank you. But that's it, guys. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Be well out there. I'm Jake Baldino. Pizza's on me.